discuss race and how it plays a factor, and how we didn't even talk about this topic because we were afraid.
A Black executive perspective.
Hey, hey, hey. I'm your co-host, Chris P. Reed. Tony Tibbett is taking an executive day to handle some business, but as we do every Tuesday about this time, we are coming to you live from various locations for another thought-provoking episode of a Black Executive Perspective podcast, a safe space where we discuss all matters related to race, culture, and those uncomfortable topics people tend to avoid. We're here to tackle the real, raw, and often uncomfortable truths shaping our world. No fluff, no filters, just bold conversations on issues that matter. From power to politics, culture, corporate America, we're breaking it all down without holding anything back. So we're going to get into it. And today we have some special guests that are going to help us get into these things and tackle society's ills. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Chris. My name is Gail McMillan.
Okay. And Tiff?
Oh, thank you, Chris. My name is Tiffany Morrison.
All right. So this is going to be a fun ride. This is a wonderful thing that we do live. It's interactive. So make sure you guys give comments, give feedback, make them feel welcome, family. Make them feel welcome, and we'll get into it. So there we go. All right. So today I'm gonna leave it up to the ladies. Ladies, what is on your minds, hearts, and spirits that you'd like to discuss with the BEP family today?
So, Chris, let me just say that we're 2 of 3, so the third may be joining us.
That's what's up.
We want to talk about, first of all, accountability, and really lack of accountability.
Okay. Okay.
So wherever you are in life, whether it be looking for a job, taking care of kids, the big orange clown, wherever it is, people, to me, I feel like they can do whatever the hell they want and get away with it. They don't even know how to justify it anymore. Because I'm so-and-so, I can do it. And it's really, it's frustrating and it's irritating for the people who want to do the right thing. And then they see other people just doing whatever the hell they want and being okay with it and getting away with it.
Can I just take a quick step back? I wanted to just say, add on that so Cynthia, Gail, and myself would have meetings, and our meetings would then turn into like 1 to 2 hour conversations about everything that's going on in life, in our home life, and in all aspects. And so we just have bonded. We've become like sisters, and we're all in different cities. So I just wanted to kind of like set that up, and before Gail gets into the whole accountability thing, which is for real.
So
And
you
Chris,
guys
this
are in
is how
different
our
parts of the
discussion
country.
goes.
Yeah, but you guys are in different parts of the country, so you see it from different angles, different local perspectives and things of that nature. And you're bringing all of those perspectives together when you have your powwows, you have your conversations. And so I think that adds value and context to your perspective on accountability and how it works in society nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I am on the East Coast in Connecticut. Tiffany's on the West Coast in California. Cynthia's down in Atlanta. And sometimes we're only supposed to be on the call for 15 minutes. It turns into 3 hours. And it's
Time flies
really
when you're having
just,
fun.
yes, exactly. And it's just what's on our mind. And we're finding that, what's on our mind are on other people's minds as well. And people are just, they're afraid to talk about it. And why not just throw it out there? Because there's always people listening and say, yeah, I think that way too. And I'm not crazy.
Right.
And that's where, the accountability thing, I'm just going to circle back, comes to fruition. Because just yesterday, something happened where the orange clown called a female Bloomberg reporter. He told her to quiet Piggy. That was his response. She asked him questions he didn't want to answer. He told her to be quiet piggy.
Mhm.
Not one other reporter stood up to say something. They just let it go. They didn't even say that's disrespectful. The next person that came up said, "Don't you want to apologize to her for saying that?" They just
Mhm.
let it go. No accountability. And that's why people from the grocery store to the White House to the media for TV and television, they feel as though they can do whatever they want and no accountability.
Let me ask you this, though, just to kind of preface this. A lot of times when we get these issues, and it's been going on for a long time, especially in the Black and brown community, where things will happen and you be like, I'm stunned that that happened, but then nobody's standing up or speaking out. But then the response is always, well, that's just ribbing, or that's just horseplay, or that's just, boys be boys type of situation. What do you say in the regard to diminishing the effects of how you make somebody feel or you say things to someone by making it seem like, hey, we're just having good old fashioned fun?
So you can have fun to a certain point, but if someone feels diminished by it,
Yep.
if someone
Yep.
feels insulted by it, then I think you have to address it.
Right.
There's a saying, it's all fun and games until somebody
Yep.
gets hurt.
Absolutely.
And just respect. There isn't, you expect one person to do this, but if you do the exact same thing, oh, it's okay, it's fine, because
Right.
I am who I am.
Right.
Regardless, I mean, doesn't to be, the president could be a principal of a
Right.
school.
Right.
It could be anybody. It's just being accountable. And when Cynthia and Tiffany and I talk, we're all looking for jobs.
Mhm.
Can someone just respond to a damn email that we send out? Can someone say, "Hey, I got it. Thank you.
Right.
We'll be back. We'll get back to you." Instead of, being caught in the ether and being ghosted.
Mhm.
But the second that you're in a position where they need help, and this happened to me many years ago, I reached out to somebody. They did not want anything to do with me. They did not get back to me, nothing. We were colleagues, we worked together. The second I was in a position where I could help him, he called and emailed and texted me every day until I responded. And you know what my response was? "I'm sorry, I can't help you." I mean, really, just come on. Cynthia, you're smirking,
Now,
Just
Cynthia,
be respectful.
let me ask you this, Cynthia, because what it sounds like is a supremacist kind of perspective on, because I'm this person, I can do whatever I want to, and I can act or treat people any old kind of way. And that's maybe not as new as we would like to believe it is. I know we sometimes, sometimes when you get older, you think, oh, when I was younger or when I was a kid, people had more manners and people were this and people were that. And Tiffany, you could answer this possibly. Things have changed as far as the way you see it, but it's just like music, right? When I was a kid, my mom thought our music was trash. And when she was a kid, her mom thought her music was trash and Elvis was shaking his hips too much. Is it just a sign of the times? And as you get older, you get these things revealed to you? Or do you believe that we are really taking a downward turn from a societal perspective as it relates to not only accountability, but courtesy and respect? Tiffany, what do you think in that regard?
Oh, I think that it's like basic manners. Whatever happened to basic manners, and to Gail was saying about accountability, like, respond to an email. We have AI now. As Gail mentioned, we're all still looking to be reemployed. Respond to an email. Use it.
Right.
Use AI to do it. But also just basic manners. I feel like, starting with the head from the president of our country, it's just like the level of respect and courtesy and just common courtesy for fellow Americans is just going down the tube.
And
Cynthia's at a party.
Sometimes this is the way our chats go too. We got
Yes.
Cynthia
Okay.
there,
Hey,
and
when it's
you know,
live, yeah. She got a little,
it's live.
yeah.
It's
She's
okay.
she had a factory. But Gail, and I understand you have a visceral response to this, and it's my thought that it's because you have a greater expectation of the position or people in leadership roles, but you even talked about principles and things of that nature. Not principles as far as values, but people who educate children,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So what do you
Yes.
think that gives license for these folks to feel more comfortable, because people are who they are, right? And so
Yep.
now we're at a point where people are exposing themselves or feeling more comfortable. What do you think created that turn to where bad guys can openly be bad guys now?
Because there's no accountability. Nobody
Mhm.
makes them accountable anymore.
Mhm.
And people are like, all right, well, if he can do it, I could do it.
Folks
Or
are complicit. Like they're
Yep.
just like it's like the bully in the schoolyard where it's
Yep.
like, oh, people are afraid to stand up. They just go along like little lemming followers. Like it's just
Mhm.
like, what is going on? Who's ready to raise their hand and speak up and have an opinion instead of just
Mhm.
being a follower?
And you know what else it is, Chris? And I know you
Go
have
ahead.
kids too. It's a
Uh-huh.
not my child syndrome.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Go
Yeah.
get your damn child and tell
Yeah.
him to behave or take him the
Yeah.
hell away.
Yeah.
When my kids were in elementary school, we were at this school dance, and
Mhm.
this girl was being unbelievably mean to other kids. She was just being a full-on brat. And
Mhm.
we basically told her parents that if she doesn't stop, that they're going to have to leave.
Mhm.
She didn't stop. We made them leave.
Mhm.
Not my child. The
Mhm.
next day, I get a call from the principal asking me
Mhm.
to come into his office because the parents want to talk to me.
Mhm.
So I come in. The parents are in his office, the wife and the husband. The husband is in uniform. He's a police
Mhm.
officer.
oh Lord.
He thinks he was going to intimidate me because his child was being a little brat.
Mhm.
And I just looked and I'm like, okay, we're going to play this game. I just said what had happened and
Mhm.
what went on. And then I kept quiet and let them talk. They had nothing to say. The principal looked at them and he said, got it? No accountability. They still walked
Right.
out, not my child, thinking that
Right.
because he was a police officer, he could intimidate me.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. You
Right.
know, I grew up and I'm guessing that you guys grew up the same way. We had more than our two parents. We had
Correct.
parents on, parents next door on the
Right.
street. If a car
Right.
was going by fast and I was at a neighbor's house, that neighbor would come out and cuss that driver out and tell him to slow down because there's kids in the neighborhood. These days, you get a lawsuit at your door if you ever do that
I
to
was
someone
about
who
to say
isn't your
that, Gail.
child.
Gail, when you said that you got called into the principal's office,
Mhm.
I was sure you were about to say they were going to file a lawsuit against me because it's like
Yeah.
nowadays it's like a
Yep.
lawsuit for this, a lawsuit for that. Parent, you spoke disrespectfully to me, and you didn't allow me on this committee or that committee at
Mhm.
school. I'm filing a lawsuit. It's just like ridiculous.
Mhm.
Do you think that, but let's look at it from this perspective. Is there a situation where we are oversensitive, or is it a situation where the people have just cause to be afraid because they've seen some of the petty kind of get back that occurs, especially at a high level, right? Let's talk about the government for now. And the government perspective, if I speak out, it's been proven and shown I'm going to be witch hunted or chased after or exercised. Like I'm losing the livelihood for my family. I'm afraid I'm being bullied or coerced into acquiescing because of the way that things are being set up now. Who would be the check and balance in this point? Who would say enough's enough? Who's strong enough? Because it seems as if the checks and balance that's set up by the government structure no longer is crumbled. And so therefore, you just got people running amok and not even abiding by the laws. It used to be it could go to, like you said, you knew the rules, you knew the law, you knew the protocol. So when you sat in that principal's office, you were speaking from a position of power and truth. It doesn't matter as much anymore because I don't know what happened, but that seems to be. What do you guys think about that as it relates to interactions and how people are just saying, "Hey, I could stand up, I could speak out, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze."
Yeah, I get that,
Yeah.
but it has to come from somewhere.
Okay.
It has to come from somewhere. And really, if you have to go back to the basics and just say please and thank you,
Okay.
it just has to come from somewhere. I get that people have to feed their families and they need their jobs, etc. But it was shown when all of those protests happened
Mhm,
a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
If people band together as
Mhm.
one,
Mhm.
things can happen. And you just can't, you have to put that fear aside. And I think that once that and just a continual, it has to start from somewhere. If it doesn't start from on top, it should start from the bottom up.
Mhm.
It just it's embarrassing. It just really is. It's embarrassing to be an American these days because people are just laughing at us. We're rude, we're dirty, we lie. I- Why would anybody want to be here?
We are the top 1% or 2% or whatever is getting richer and richer, and the
Mhm.
rest of the middle. I mean, this has been a decades time old thing where the middle class is getting the squeeze and the poor and the poor. But it's just like so the wealth gap is so ridiculous, and the way they are so entitled. With like, how do you expect a Donald Trump or whatever to like be respectful?
Right.
Yep.
They're just not even like, we're just in two different lanes. Like we always talk about Hunger District, Gail.
Right.
Yep.
I love
Hunger Games.
District.
Okay,
Sorry,
right,
Hunger
right.
Games.
Right,
And I'm
right,
always
right.
like, there's a capital, and
Right.
we're just living in a district.
Yep.
Right.
It's and it's playing out. It's ridiculous.
Let me ask this, to kind of summarize the situation with accountability. Do you feel like at any other point in time, the country was set up for the haves to have? Because it seems like the have-nots are more resounding now. You got your haves and your have-nots, right? And the haves are putting things in place, not only in action, but in policy. Think about the district redistricting and all these other things that's going on to make sure the haves are solidified.
Yep.
In the idea that we have way more have-nots than haves, but the have-nots, if you said, Gail, are timid or reluctant because even when swimming in a school, there's a level of safety. Some of the fish are getting eaten. And I just don't want to be the fish. I just don't want to be that fish because the have-nots are just not as empowered or emboldened because of the lack of unity. How do we create another civil rights generation or another? It seems so long ago that was going on, where people would march and culminate and come together and boycott and blah, blah, blah. And the larger we've gotten as a country, the less you see that kind of stuff because the haves have figured out how to squash those things aggressively. So
Look,
what would you think the answer is? Go
we
ahead.
can't even maintain a sustained boycott of Target. Okay.
Right.
So,
Right.
So, Chris, I do think that it will come around again.
Okay.
I do think with the kids who are in college now or just entering college,
Mhm.
I think they are going to rejuvenate
Okay.
America. I honestly do, because they won't stand for certain things. Well, one, they need to learn a work ethic. Once they get their work ethic, then,
Right.
but they are very strong in their beliefs. And they will picket, they will boycott, and I think, the AOC generation
Mhm.
will do that. I honestly do. I think unfortunately, we have to go through this garbage right now. And people need to grow a pair. And once they do, I honestly think it's that AOC generation that's going to make an impact.
I hope that's the case.
I agree with you.
What say
Gail.
you,
I
Tiffany?
have to be hopeful, because
Yeah.
if not, we're going in a black hole.
This
Yeah.
is how we, when we talk on our, calls, we kind of like talk over one another, whatever.
No, that's
But
cool.
I
No.
agree. I agree with Gail. I,
Mhm.
as much as I sometimes can get down on what's going on with our politics and this and the other, I am so hopeful and inspired by these kids, even from the teenagers to the college kids, they're they're just built differently. COVID, I think, had something to do with that. They're built differently, but I feel like our future is bright with these kids. And I'm not even from college to high school to even elementary school. Like they're just, and I guess maybe every generation has this, but like they're just built differently and in a good way.
Yep.
I'll say this before we transition. As a historian, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Tiananmen Square and the concept of those young folks did a lot of things, including die, to try to change things. And the haves over there figured it out. And we look back all these years now, and there's still suppression. There's still human rights issues. There's still, because the haves have been doing this for a very long time. And so my only fear is that they have such a solidified playbook and they've been good at oppression for so long that it becomes hard to see the other side of it. So that's, but we have to, like you said, Gail, be optimistic and fight the good fight and carry on. But just know that there's instances in history where we've had young folks, educated, university kids that gave it all for the sake of an opportunity. And unfortunately, maybe they showed their hand and the haves figured out a different alternative because they had the power structure in place. So we got to figure out how to infiltrate the power structure and get policies changed.
I will say one thing that I loved during the pandemic was when those kids figured out the whole GameStop situation, the stop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Reddit.
Where they just like flipped the script, they were like, we're going to, buy stock in GameStop. We're going to like flip the, Wall Street. And I feel like there's a lot of that kind of either pending or bubbling up under the surface where these kids are figuring out how to game the system or, just use the tools that they have available to kind of flip the script. And I feel like the GameStop thing, I was like, go ahead, because they put Wall Street in a panic. But then, the power structure figured out.
There we go. Absolutely. Yeah. They always respond because they've been doing this for thousands of years, literally, in the idea of it's a battle and a war type situation. And we do win battles, and it is encouraging when it happens. But once again, I think it'll take a subtle infiltration to kind of change the hearts and minds as opposed to the overt, hey, we're coming in and exposing you, because at this point, they're not even afraid to be exposed. Right. They're not even like the emperor has on their clothes and is happy to be naked. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So, but great points.
It is. And I mean, you have to be hopeful, because if you don't have hope, what is there? And look at, everyone said there was never going to be a black president. Look at him. Right. I still feel like he's our president today. He's out there telling us everything's going to be okay. He's showing up where people aren't showing up,
Right.
Yeah.
There is the youngest African-American mayor is in Maryland. They say that there's not going to be a woman president. How many other countries have women presidents and are okay with it? Michelle Obama recently said that, America's not ready for a woman president. Well, they better, put on their suspenders and buckle up, because that's coming. And I agree with her? Yes. But, men have to grow a pair and be open to having a woman lead the country, because that woman can probably lead us in a better direction.
Like,
Uh,
how is it even something
don't-
that we're like, we're not ready for a woman to lead it? How is that
Yep.
even a thing?
Yeah. Because
so-
men are too afraid to listen to a woman. Men don't want to listen to women
So,
when they know
so,
that they're right.
so
I'm
you
hearing
also have
claps, so someone
yeah,
agrees
yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
yeah. Well, we have to also understand, or maybe we shouldn't. And I think that you guys are doing a great thing here by kind of challenging the narrative. But generally, if you look at the continuum of time and history, things happen and then they have to be eased into. For example, we had a black president, and then the consensus was, well, it'll be a long time before we do that again, right? so we're coming off of a female vice president. Now, for whatever reason, we soon forget this was the first female vice president in the history of our country.
Good
And by the
point.
way,
It took us that long to get here, and now we're talking already. It's like we getting kind of big for our britches. Respond to me, ladies. Why are we
Let me
not getting
just say
big for our
this.
britches?
I'm still salty about that.
Okay.
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 I'm still salty. 92%. Like, there is that woman was qualified as hell. And you don't, what the hell happened? Like,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
So, but anyway,
Yeah.
I still have a little hurt in my heart about that one. And also, I'm a Howard
Okay.
grad and an AKA. So
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, it was close to you then.
Yeah.
Close to home.
Yeah.
It's close to
Mhm.
home. But Gail, in that regard, if I was to say to play, and I know the devil doesn't need an advocate, but if I was to play devil's advocate and say, hey, we just had the first female vice president, why don't you give us a break and let us kind of at least resemble some of the normality of this male-dominated society, this capitalistic country? What do you say to that in the fact that I want you to hold off for X number of years before we can wrap our minds around a female leading our great nation?
Why do we need to wrap our heads around it? Why do we need a break?
It's not me. It's me. It's just the advocacy.
We don't need a break. And there's a misnomer out there too that people think that vice presidents don't do anything.
Absolutely.
So she was just there as a token and to basically shut us up.
Mhm.
But I think that she just ignited us more. And you could go into so many reasons why she didn't win, because I honestly think she did win. But I'm not going down that road because everybody knows. And really, I just think, the men have to get over their chauvinist attitude, because, who do most men go to when they need love and care? Their mamas. Come
Right.
on.
Right.
And also,
and
I
just
feel like
get over yourself.
There's a different leadership style as well. Like, you think about all of these, wars and conflicts and stuff all over the world. Like, if there were a woman's perspective, would we be like, it's like these guys, these male presidents are like trying to show who has like the bigger whatever. Women handle conflict and situations differently, and I feel like more of that is needed in the world.
So in that case, I would argue that the world's not ready for a woman's touch. But more importantly, the numbers, and whether you believe the numbers or not, I know you're a conspiracy theorist, Gail. Whether you believe the numbers or not, it says that women weren't voting for the woman. So although you say that men need to get over themselves and not be so chauvinistic, why are the women not riding out with the other women? Why are women so catty? Let's go ahead and talk. Let's call it out. Why are women so catty?
So I do agree women are catty. And it's just, it may not have been the right woman, because I know who you're speaking of with Clinton. A lot of women did not like her. And they did not want her to be the first woman president. I think that's where a lot of it stemmed from. I think they are slapping themselves now because of the hell that we're in now. But honestly, if I don't have a connection with a woman, I don't want anything to do with them. It's different. Like a lot of my friends are male. It's very rare
Okay.
that I have a lot
Okay.
of women friends because I can't
Okay.
stand the cattiness and the
Okay.
bitchiness.
Okay.
But do I think the right bitch can be in power? Absolutely. And when that person gets in power, you better watch out because she's coming. And I think, in a matter of time, some men may subside and say, yeah, we should have done this a lot sooner. They'll never hear it out loud, but they'll be thinking it in their minds.
So they're saying in the chat, the patriarchy runs deep. But Tiffany, you already stated that she was overqualified. So damn, what qualifications would the next lady have to
Thank
not
you.
embarrass us for not choosing this person? We're at a point where what the hell are we doing?
And you know what? Honestly, it's like we deal with this in the corporate world. We deal with
Okay.
this all the
Yep.
time. But
Okay.
it's like, but to your point, Chris, it's like, what more did you need from this woman?
Yes. Yes.
She was so overqualified.
Yes.
She was ready to
Yes.
step in on day one.
Yep.
Yes.
And
But I think that may be used in the future against the next aspiring female candidate to say, well, she doesn't even have what the loser had. My fear is that I have a fear from a corporate perspective where when I get into a role, I know that if I don't do what is necessarily exceptional in that role, I'm diminishing the opportunity for the next brother to get into that role because they're going to say, look, we gave him a chance and he didn't become the record breaker, or he didn't do this, or he didn't do that. Whereas I know it's about resources and opportunity, right? And so they could look at this campaign. Now, keep in mind, one of the good things is it was such a short period, right? So she didn't get a lot of running space. So that's what I would push back on in the next situation. But they're going to say, well, wait a second. This person doesn't have this degree and this distinction and this state behind them. And she did, and she lost. Therefore, this person is, they don't look at the qualifications on the other side where this person was only on TV or this person, whatever, had friends that they were cool with. It's always a situation where from a woman perspective, from a black and brown perspective, you have to be the epitome of whatever in order to just get a chance. And that's something that would have to change. And I hope it happens in my lifetime. And I know you ladies are optimistic, but you're very realistic and poignant. How do we get the hearts and minds, especially once again, I'm going to challenge women again, of women to come out in droves and command the households like they do and say, listen, if you're going to be comfortable in this house, mister, you're going to vote for her because of these factual reasons, not just you're going to get over yourself, like you said, Gail. How do you have those conversations in your home?
That's a good question.
Yes, ma'am.
So for me, for someone to be president and to be, you have to be the every woman. So
Okay.
you have to have that likability. I can sit down and have a cup of coffee. If I was in a coffee shop and Obama was in there, I would be like, oh, he seems like a very welcoming person to go and have a cup of coffee with. Would
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do that? I might, but then I'd get bombarded with Secret Service. But no, I think the every person, and not the every man, the every woman, the every person,
Okay.
when it comes to it, middle America or any part of America, okay, yes, you have to have certain qualifications, but in the end, do they really care about the qualifications? Can this person do the job? Are they teachable? Are they likable? Is this the person that I want representing me? It's just, I don't think that the every person is looking through their qualifications. Some, yes. The majority, I don't think so. People look at you, people will look at, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Wes Moore, if you're listening, you better run for president one day. They will
He is.
look at that person because you see them as a whole person, like Wes Moore. You see him as a whole person. Whoever runs his social media, you see him as a family man. You see him as a serviceman. You see him helping out with food drives. You see him running on the field with kids. You have to be that every person. And then unfortunately and fortunately, the qualifications come second. Because look, if I don't like you, first of all, I'm not voting for you. I don't care if you come from Harvard University, if you're from if you're from wherever. If I don't like you, you're not getting my vote. So you have to be smart and strategic, and you have to be transparent as much as you can be to say, this is who I am. So he has done that. There are others who have done that too. And I think Kamala would be in place right now if she had the opportunity to do that. She did not have the opportunity. They screwed her in the right when they told her that she could run for president. They gave her what, a day? Come on. But I think you have to have that every person. And if someone can relate to even one portion of that every person, then they got your vote.
And I will
What say
also
you, Tiffany?
add on that what Trump has done is like, since he's not a career politician, and as someone who is a corporate marketer, like that's my background, he has brought marketing into the fold. Like they don't care. They don't want, people don't want to know the ins and outs of this policy, that policy, blah, blah, blah. They just want a clear marketing message. And he is a great marketer. And I feel like that's been part of his success.
Okay. Let me ask this, because I don't want to do him like that. I'm going to do it. Golly, Barack Obama, right? There was a duality of Barack Obama as the president, whereas, as you stated, Gail, I could see myself having a beer with this guy, blah, 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 blah. But I personally want to see something special to where I can't feel like I too could be that. It takes an extra beyond me to be that. So although he was a have a beer guy with, as opposed to the everyman, he also has some qualifications. Think about Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar. All the other presidents went Ivy League. Blah, 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 blah. There was something extraordinary, whether it be coming from wealth, or it was something that separated them from the normal American. Not since Teddy Roosevelt have we had a guy that just walked in there and came out the factory and went into the White House. We have an elitist type of perspective as it relates to, I need for the leader to be somewhat like me, but better. Is it a situation where we can't see a woman as better?
No.
It's an empathy thing, right?
That's an interesting question.
Okay.
I think people just want to feel safe, and they want to feel that it is the best person to make us feel that way. Not just safety and, can I eat? Can I sustain my job? Can I get care that I need at the hospital? Have you seen the friggin' hospital premium? I mean, come on. People just they want to know that they're secure in all the basics.
Right.
And really, I'm sorry for all you men out there, but women do 99% of the work in the home too. And there's a term, mama's boy. Come on. If you are so close to your mother, why can't a woman run the country? If you put your men put women, their mothers on pedestals.
Correct.
So why can't that president be a woman? I mean, think of it that way, Come on.
But do I want
Everybody
to be
talks
nurtured?
about how their mother, their grandmother was the backbone of the family. Okay, so what's the problem?
I think the thought process is, and one of the things that's been resounding, if you look at the polls and the interest here, is that the running on a campaign of strength, bullying, strength, strong bully, I'm going to take this and take that and all this other stuff, right? Is different than running on a platform of nurturing and supporting. And so unfortunately, we can't wrap our heads around those two things coexisting, where I am strong, but I'm also compassionate. I am strong because the one thing that this administration is not is compassionate. They are not compassionate at all, but they do have a misnomer of being strong and assertive and, non-tolerant. You know what I mean? And so because of that, it makes it hard to see what our country is actually trying to align itself with. Are we trying to be leading from a position of strength and stubbornness? Or are we trying to be consoling and nurturing and listening as a nation? Because I would contend that if I had a Gail as president, she would listen more and be more considerate and warm and fuzzy. And I don't know, is it time for us to be warm and fuzzy as a nation?
To a point.
Okay.
And then I would
Okay.
come and kick your ass.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
women can be both. Women can
Yeah.
kick
Okay.
your ass.
That's what I need to
and be
hear.
nurturing. So I guess what it would take for that perfect candidate would be to
Yeah.
assert her strength, you
Uh-huh.
know. And I think that's one thing that Donald Trump does really well is he's just like, boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the tariff. I'm going to but I do. But guess what? Women could do the same thing, but also have that caring and compassionate element as well.
But
I don't
although
think
we
it's
call
either
him,
or.
we consider him erratic and emotional, but not in a detrimental perspective. If a woman was doing the shit Trump is doing, they would be considered irrational. And well, you need to get somebody to check her and all this.
Thank you.
Where he is, you get what I'm saying? So
Yep.
it's just so hard because of how we've cast women throughout our history and how other countries are not as kind of, chauvinistic as we are. I hated to say that, but other countries tend to have more leniency and understanding of qualifications, test scores, good work being done. So when you have a situation where a woman could do this and they're graded as a C, but a man, same age, same education, same everything does it, think about the wage inequality that we have here. I mean, golly, if that don't tell you something, what will? When women are making 80 cents, 81 cents, whatever it is, for the exact same, it could be a twin sister, and she's going to make 20 cents less than the twin brother, same everything.
And then the black twin sister is going to.
Oh my God, in the 60s. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we just got a long hill to climb, but I love the fact that you guys are highlighting some of these inadequacies. I just want to make sure that as we have compassion and optimism going forward, we're not wearing our hearts on our sleeves and end up like we were. I remember we had this episode with you ladies where once the election happened and we reflected, you guys were just exhausted. It was just, it was like you gave your all and it was so sad.
It was exhausting. It's just, I still cannot believe it hasn't even been a year.
It hasn't even been a
I
year.
look and I'm like, oh my, and then you wake up and you're like, I don't even want to watch the news. What crazy shit did he do again? And it's just,
Right.
I'm crossing my fingers,
Right.
do your job, Congress,
Right.
do your
Right.
damn job.
Right.
And I will also say that one of the things I love about having, met Gail and Cynthia is that we talk about politics, we talk about a lot of things, but we also talk about just stuff happening in our lives, just about
Yep.
like kids. We talk about, school stuff. We talk about so many things. It's not just about politics. Like that's important, the politics and everything like that. We talk about why were eggs so expensive the other day? Or, is your teenage daughter complaining like mine is? And
Right.
is your teen creating a PowerPoint presentation for their Christmas list? Like we talk about all kinds of things, and that's what I love about this group of women.
Is that something that you think other women, because like I said, you guys come from different angles and areas of the country. Do you think that middle American women are having the same thought processes and maybe don't have the same cohort of women to kind of bounce things off of? But do you feel like women everywhere or people everywhere are having the same thoughts and concerns without an outlet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think so many people go on TikTok?
Okay.
You know, they need
Okay.
they need some validation. They need to know that they're not alone. Um, that what they're thinking, isn't crazy. If someone says, "Oh, you're crazy thinking that," no, you're
Hmm.
not, because
Hmm.
there's 10, 100, 1,000 other people thinking the same damn thing.
Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
just people just need to open their mouth and not be afraid to say something. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel, with respect.
Hmm.
When we get on our call and we chat, sometimes we're off camera because we're still in our pajamas. Um, sometimes we're on camera. Sometimes
And
we
sometimes we're
totally,
still in bed
yep.
Hmm.
because we need a mental health day.
Hmm.
And that's
So
okay. And so we just sort of talk about what's on our mind. And I think just people need to know community. People need to know that there's a community. There is no
Hmm.
community. We feel no community in the United States, but as a whole. But if we can have those pockets of community and then connect that community, I think that we can eventually grow to make everybody better. And yes, because of that growing community, there can be a woman president. Because if you connect small pods and then connect those smaller pods to bigger pods and bigger pods, eventually you're going to get the Hands Across America.
Let
Pun
me ask you,
intended.
right? Let me ask you this, and to try to frame it for people like me. When I was a kid, it was there was aspersions cast on nerds, right? So if you made
Yep.
good grades and you
Yep.
were doing right in school, your mom was telling you to do this, but society and the people, your peers, were absolutely making it to where you had to hide your faculties, or you had to hide. You had to be kind of cool about. If I either had to be cool or I had to be a nerd, I had to pick a side.
Yep.
In the idea of, I don't understand the experience of women. The idea of women, because Cynthia put in the comments that if they're smart, then they're thinkers and they're asking these questions. How often do you feel like women are subduing themselves or diminishing their ability to think and express because they're afraid that people aren't ready, or they would be ostracized for having such strong voices and such powerful opinions? Because maybe not the society, but maybe even in their own homes or families, people aren't ready for strong women, thinking women, to be so expressive.
Well, let me say this to women.
Okay.
Open your mouth, because I am not one of those quiet people. And I honestly, I will say what I need to say, because I have an opinion and I'm a person, and I just tell them, do not be afraid to speak your mind. Because yes, Chris, I do agree. Some women are shut down, and
Mhm.
some women feel as though that they can't speak. And if they do speak, then they're berated for speaking.
Mhm.
But I speak up, because the more you speak up, the more women are going to rally around you. Yes, women can be catty and bitches, and etc.
Mhm.
But if they see a woman in need, they're going to be the first one to erase all that cattiness and forget about that and reach out their hand to them. And
And
Tiffany,
that's what women
how
can
hard is
do.
it to get there, Tiffany? How hard is it to
I
get
was
to
gonna
that
say,
point in maturity?
I was just going to say, so, I was always very, bold and outspoken. I'm originally from New Jersey. We speak our
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
And when I got into the corporate world, I literally just got shut down. Like it got to the point where I felt difficult. It felt difficult speaking my voice. But now that I've gotten to a certain age, I'm like,
Okay.
F this. I'm going to
Mhm.
speak
Okay.
my mind, and
Okay.
you can have your feelings however you want, but I'm going to speak my mind. And I will also say that my daughter goes to the only all girls public school in the state of California, and
Okay.
they are being taught to speak up, have strong
Good.
opinions, speak their minds. And so I don't worry about other people's feelings anymore.
Okay. Okay. Well, the concept of speech is still free, allegedly, but the repercussions of that speech are very tough, especially on women. And I know
Yeah.
that Cynthia just put in there, when the reproductive rights were adjusted, women realized, wait a second, oh hell, I better start, speaking
Speak
up and
up.
speaking out and standing up.
Mhm.
But is it too late? Is it too late? Or have
No.
we let things go too far?
No.
No, it's never too late.
Okay.
Don't ever think it's too late.
Okay.
Don't ever think it's too late.
Okay.
Okay, let me just say one other thing that we always talk
Yeah.
about on our calls is Handmaid's Tale. So I talked about Hunger Games and Handmaid's Tale. So I just said,
I
Y'all
swear to
Siskel
God,
and
she's
Ebert.
making
Y'all
this author
Siskel and
so much
Ebert, right?
more
Y'all
money
just
by
do-
mentioning this.
I said, let's never get to the point when they start to say Congress has been suspended.
Right,
I just
Right.
say, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Handmaid's Tale or
right, right,
the Hunger Games movies, but
right.
it's a little bit of a warning. For
So
the
there
future.
is one of my friends that is very active in her opinion, and I don't know if you guys have them in your states that they go out and they picket on the bridges on the highways.
Yep, yep.
So she has a group of people that dress up as the handmaid.
Oh,
Tale.
wow. Okay, okay.
Mhm.
The visual.
And they hold
give
their
the visual.
signs up and they
Okay.
picket. So Tiffany may not be too far off
I'm
base.
not ever going to put on an outfit, but I'm just
Right, right,
saying. For what I'm saying, series 1, episode 1.
Yep. And
never
you know
say
what,
never.
Chris, and I know it's coming to time, but when you say are men ready for women? So many years ago, about 20 years ago, at my second job, my boss, I came in and was talking to my boss, who was a male. I should have had his job. And I went down a list of stuff that, you know, we needed to do and we're done. And he's sitting at his desk and he's making this face like a smirk, but I knew like he was thinking something. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, sometimes I feel like you're my boss. And so I didn't say, I took a minute and I'm like, okay. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm taking that as a compliment because that means I'm doing my damn job. And I walked out. And then when he was getting ready to leave for the night, he always comes and says goodbye. And he's like, you know what, Gail? He said, I'm glad that you said that because you are doing your job. And I shouldn't have said that to you. And I'm glad that you reversed it and you took it as a compliment. So thankfully for him, he thought about it because, I mean, my ass could have been grass after I said that. But no, that means I'm doing my damn job. And if you don't like it, then remove me. But, you know, it's just like, come on. Craziness.
Let me say this, and I'll ask this to you ladies and also to the chat group. Is there a situation where you feel like your personality, your empowerment, your confidence has acted to your detriment in the moment? Now, obviously, when you get away from it, you're like, well, fuck it, that wasn't for me anyway, or whatever. But when you make these determinations and you stand your ground or you whatever, in that moment, when you get the repercussion of that free speech, it's devastating. Is there a situation where you've had that happen before that you could share, or anybody that's in the chat, you know, speak up to where, hey, I stood up for myself, and at that time, it did not feel good. They were not ready for all this jelly.
Oh, did not feel good.
Well, I will say this. There have been many times where I have I've spoken up and, you know, had facts and this, that, and the other, but it made, I knew I was right, but it made the people on the other end of the communications feel like a certain way, and that maybe I should have reframed it in a certain way. So I'm definitely more in tune with that recently. So yeah, because it's like sometimes you know you're right and you have all the facts and this, that, and the other, but then if people don't receive it, if people on your team don't receive it in the right way, it doesn't matter if you're right.
Yep.
Is that the burden of femininity, though? Because I am a big believer in data-powered insights and the truth being agnostic. And so I don't have to filter this or that when I'm just presenting today. Don't be mad at me, be mad at the math, right? But is that a burden that you ladies carry, that I have to put lipstick on this pig or frame this a certain way or present this a certain way, even for them to accept what I'm saying, even though it's factually correct?
Yes, and men should do that too.
We don't have to, though.
No, but
I
you
mean,
have
that's
to.
the thing,
But
right?
who
When
says
you
you
ask
don't
that
have to?
question,
You
The
have
result-
to with
the results
That's
say
your
we don't
blind
have
spot.
to.
That is your blind spot. Yes,
Okay,
they do, because I think that people would be more receptive if men see that blind spot.
but you know what's
Because
so
women
funny?
are excuse me?
No, I was going to say the funny thing about it is that the fact that Chris asked that question, it just goes to the fact that men don't even think about
Don't even
that
think
type
about
of
it.
thing.
Don't
Yep.
even think about
Yep.
it. Absolutely. Leave with the
Yep.
truth.
Yeah.
lead with the truth, and then it just happens. So
And
I'm not even
feelings,
considering
whatever-
who's feeling
yeah.
what.
Right.
Facts and feelings, right? Facts and feelings.
So Obama did that when he went and he rallied for a woman to be the Virginia governor. Didn't he just rally for her? So this woman yelled at him, like nicely, like, "Hey, I'm over here, da da da. Look at me." And he made a joke about it at first. He's like, I see you. And he's like, but I got to do my job. Like he phrased it to be like fun, because all she wanted was just a fun recognition. But then he
Right.
said, but I got to go do my job. So, yes, I see you. You're funny. You're whatever. But this is what I'm here for. So he kind of made her feel good in the moment, but having her understand that I got a job to do.
Right.
So yeah, and sometimes, when women work for men and men are just so blunt and to the point, and you wonder why, like, the woman is so standoffish. They're saying "fuck you" because men don't know how to talk to women.
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
if they could just massage it a little bit and be a little bit more empathetic in the work world, most of all, but in every aspect of their life, I think people would be more receptive. And that's and I'm not saying it's your blind spot, but in general, it's
Absolutely.
men's blind spot. You're the
Yeah.
guinea pig, Chris. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. That's okay. That's okay. This is what we're going to do. I would love to be at some point part of these conversations that you ladies have off to the side, these
got 3
conclave-esque
hours.
meetings, right? But we're going to have to talk about how do we combine efficiency, because one of the things that is pushed back on that is get to the point, time is money, blah, 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 and I don't have time for the how are you today, how are the kids? And we tend to have to juggle that in a corporate environment, but that's for another day. We'll definitely take that up. I want to hear more of what you ladies have to say for sure, because it's fascinating to me. Obviously, I'm learning as I go. You can see it in real time, like the expressions on my face. I'm learning shit that I was like, oh, what do you care? Why do you care about that? But I want to thank you, ladies. I want to thank you, Gail. Thank you, Tiffany, for coming on. I want to thank the audience for being interactive. It pops up so quick, I can't always read the things, but we'll go back and check on that and respond to things as need be from the BEP Empire. At this point in time, I want to make sure that you guys tune in to the Black Executive Perspective that we have as far as our taped episodes that we have out there. Make sure you check us out with the lives every Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Tony and I get on here and do this exact thing, and we love to have that type of interaction, the same energy, whether we have people here live or people typing in. We love that. We also want to make sure you check out Need to Know with Nsinga, where each week Dr. Nsinga Burton provides her perspective on a Black Executive Perspective podcast, where she gets into timely and crucial topics that shape our community and our world. You don't want to miss Need to Know with Nsinga every week on a Black Executive Perspective. We also want to make sure that you check out Pull Up, Speak Up. These ladies cut their teeth on Pull Up, Speak Up, and it was a magical, wonderful episode. So we always tackle the hard-hitting topics just like today, where every voice counts and every perspective sparks change. It just isn't a talk, it's a call to action. So you want to join the revolution on Pull Up, Speak Up. I always would be remiss if I don't end with our call to action, reminding you to embrace less, LESS. Our goal is to eliminate all forms of discrimination, and to achieve this, we're asking everyone to embrace less. The L stands for learn, educate yourself on culture nuances, racial nuances, political nuances, gender nuances. I'm learning, right? Learn about these things by involving yourself in these type of conversations, and then you can empathize to understand these diverse perspectives better, to arm you accordingly for the world in which we live in. And then the first S is for share. Share your insights, enlighten others, don't hide it, divide it. And then the last S is for stop. Actively work on stopping discrimination to foster inclusivity, right? Tony would say, so if Aunt Jeannie or Uncle Joe at a dinner table says something, you say, no, Aunt Jeannie, no, Uncle Joe, we don't say that, we don't believe in that. And you stop it where it is, because as you guys said, the children are the future, and we have to lead from the front, and you have to exercise your voice. And that's why you speak up and say, stop. We shouldn't be thinking like that anymore. That's antiquated, it's old. And if we do that, there will be the change that we want to see, because less becomes more. We want to make sure that you tune in to other episodes we have. We want you to please go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, The Monthly Perspective. It's out and it's popping. It's the greatest thing ever. You got to check it out. It's a big deal. Go ahead and review us and subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. To continue to stay tapped into us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and then also follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, YouTube again. And make sure you check us out or hit us up at ablackexec.com. And I would once again love to thank these ladies for taking their time and being vulnerable and jumping on. It's not always easy, right? Like we live in a very complex world, but you guys said something that was so valuable in having a voice and exercising it is the only way we're going to get from here to there safely and collectively. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you folks for typing in, and we'll check you out next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, 6 Eastern on live.